Over a century ago, a German engineer named Karl Benz revolutionized transportation by inventing something that would change the world forever: the automobile. Yes, that's right. The cars we drive today can trace their origins back to the very first motor vehicle created by Karl Benz in 1885. Benz's invention laid the foundation for the global automobile industry, making him widely recognized as the father of the automobile. Hello, and welcome back to Speak English Fluently. In today's conversation, we'll explore the life and achievements of Karl Benz, focusing on how he changed transportation forever. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more engaging content that helps you learn English while discovering fascinating topics. Now, let's dive into the conversation between John and Emily.
Did you know that Karl Benz was the first person to receive a patent for a motor vehicle? He was granted the patent in 1886 for his motor wagon.
Motor wagon? That sounds like an old-fashioned word. What does it mean?
Good observation. Motor wagon is a German word that literally means motor car or motor vehicle. It was what they called cars back in the late 19th century when cars were a completely new concept.
Ah, I see. So the motor wagon was the first automobile. How did Karl Benz come up with the idea?
Well, Benz was a mechanical engineer and he was fascinated by engines and machines. He spent years developing a lightweight gasoline-powered engine. The motor wagon was a three-wheeled vehicle with a single-cylinder engine. It wasn't very fast or fancy by today's standards, but it was a huge innovation at the time.
Single-cylinder engine. What does cylinder mean in this context?
Good question. In an engine, a cylinder is a part where fuel is burned to produce power. The more cylinders an engine has, the more powerful it can be. The single-cylinder engine in Benz's car was pretty simple compared to modern engines, which can have 4, 6, or even 8 cylinders.
Got it. So Benz's motor wagon was a basic car with just one cylinder. That's amazing, considering how advanced cars are today. But how did people react to this new invention back then?
At first, people were skeptical. Many didn't think it would be practical or safe to drive a motor vehicle instead of a horse-drawn carriage. In fact, Karl Benz's wife, Bertha, played a big role in convincing people that the car was useful.
Wait, how did his wife help?
This is actually a really cool story. Bertha Benz took the motor wagon on a long-distance road trip in 1888 without telling Karl. She wanted to show people that the car was reliable and practical for long journeys. She drove from their home in Mannheim to her mother's house about 65 miles away, becoming the first person to drive a car over a long distance.
Wow, that's incredible. Bertha must have been really brave to do that. So, she was basically the first test driver in history?
Exactly. She stopped at pharmacies along the way to buy gasoline, which was sold as a cleaning solvent back then, and even made small repairs to the car herself. Her trip helped prove that the automobile could be a practical means of transportation.
I love that story. It really shows how determined they were. But I'm curious, what's the difference between a carriage and a vehicle? You mentioned both earlier.
Great question. A carriage usually refers to a horse-drawn vehicle, while a vehicle is a broader term that can refer to anything used for transportation, like cars, trucks, or even bicycles. So, a carriage is a type of vehicle, but when we say vehicle today, we're usually talking about motorized transport.
That makes sense. So, after Bertha's trip, did people start buying cars? Or did it take a while for the idea to catch on?
It took a little time, but her trip definitely helped spark interest in the car. Eventually, Benz's company started producing and selling more vehicles. However, the real explosion in car ownership didn't happen until the early 20th century, especially when Henry Ford introduced the assembly line and made cars affordable for the average person.
I've heard of Henry Ford. So, what did Karl Benz think about Ford's innovations?
Karl Benz admired Ford's work. Ford's assembly line was revolutionary because it made cars much cheaper and quicker to produce. Before that, cars were mostly hand-built and very expensive. Ford helped make cars accessible to the general public, but Benz's invention of the automobile was the key that started it all.
So it sounds like Karl Benz and Henry Ford were both really important in the history of cars. Did Karl Benz keep inventing after the motor wagon?
Yes, he did. Benz continued to improve his designs, and his company eventually merged with another German automaker to form Mercedes-Benz, which is still one of the most famous car brands in the world today.
That's amazing. So Karl Benz's work really laid the foundation for the car industry we have now. I didn't know he was connected to Mercedes-Benz.
Yes, it's incredible to think how one invention led to the creation of an entire industry. And speaking of the word foundation, do you know what it means in this context?
I think so. It means something that everything else is built on, right?
Exactly. When we say Karl Benz's work laid the foundation for the automobile industry, we mean that his invention was the starting point for everything that followed.
That makes sense. Thanks for explaining that. It's really inspiring to learn about people like Karl Benz who had such a big impact on the world.
It really is. And it's not just about the invention itself. It's about the perseverance and vision he had to turn his idea into reality. Even when people doubted him, he kept working until he succeeded.
That's a great lesson for anyone, not just inventors. Before we finish, can you explain what perseverance means? I've heard it before, but I want to make sure I understand it fully.
Sure. Perseverance means continuing to work towards something even when it's difficult or when you face obstacles. It's about not giving up, no matter how hard things get.
So Karl Benz showed perseverance by continuing to work on his car, even when people didn't believe in him.
Exactly. He kept going because he believed in his vision, and eventually, he changed the world.
Thanks, John. I feel like I've learned so much today, not just about Karl Benz, but also new words like foundation, vehicle, perseverance, and cylinder. This conversation was really informative.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Learning about history is a great way to expand your vocabulary and understand the world better.
What an amazing conversation. Karl Benz's story is one of innovation, determination, and of course, the birth of the automobile. From his first motor wagon to the modern cars we drive today, his legacy lives on. We also hope you learned some new words and phrases along the way. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Speak English Fluently, for more interesting conversations and language learning tips. See you in the next episode.